I've seen way too many brands waste hundreds of thousands of dollars or even spend a couple of years rehiring and refiring because they didn't structure their organizational chart right from day one. My name is Jassim Isa, a CEO and founder of Voadera. We've sold hundreds of millions of dollars on Amazon and e-commerce marketplaces and have built a 100 plus in-person team. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how we built it out, lay out our exact org chart structure, departments that many people forget about and don't think that are important, and walk through each one and why it's so crucial. So starting off with the organizational chart, obviously I'm going to start off with my position up here. So we're just going to put, excuse my handwriting, it's obviously very bad, but I'm just going to start with myself right over here at the top. And I'm going to start with the departments that report directly to me and then the subsidiary departments within them. I'm not going to go over all of them. There's some of them that are not as crucial, especially since now we're at the $100 million mark, that are more new, they're more testing, but I'm going to get at the ones that are very necessary to run and grow a successfully eight-figure Amazon e-commerce brand. So I'm going to start with, I don't want to say it's not as important, but I want to say it's maybe overrated, respectfully, because I've just seen so many people just focus on it and not focus on the other building blocks that I'm going to get into later in this video, ones that are, in my opinion, and what we've seen, much more crucial than this one. But I want to start with the coolest one and the funnest one, at least for me, and that's going to be marketing. So over here we have the marketing department, and within this, there's two splits for us. So within marketing, we have, let's say, another subsidiary within this. Obviously, a division is marketing itself, and I'll get into why I'm doing this here. And then we have brand managers, right? Brand managers, marketing. So within marketing, we have three sub departments. So I'm going to go like this. We have the first one is creative. The next one is SEO. And then last but not least, we have PPC. So we have all of these reporting to our marketing director of marketing, our marketing manager, and then we have the brand managers. So I'll go into each one first. Let's start with the brand managers. So the brand managers, they're the ones actively managing and overseeing the brands. They're like the quarterback. They're facilitating everything to do with the brand. They're kind of, so that's why we have what's known as you grow your org chart to many of the various departments, you're going to be familiar with the terms that are matrix or siloed. So we run on a matrix org chart basis. And the reason that we do that is because we want as much expertise as possible within each subdivision. And the one disadvantage of that is maybe you lose a little bit of speed, but with the right managers and a lot of execution, you get that back. But that's just a sub point that I wanted to get into briefly. So the brand managers, they're facilitating a number of brands. You might ask how many brands. It's really not a tough question to answer because different brands have different management requirements. One brand, based on revenue size, based on compliance requirements, based on inventory, might be much tougher to manage than 10 other brands that are just a maintenance mode. Because there might be a growth mode brand that's at $100 million that needs maybe 3 people to manage it. But then there's 10 other brands that are maintenance that are at the $1 million mark that can be managed by one person. So it's not kind of that cut and dry, but basically we'll just stick for that for now. And then the brand manager, the marketing is because their primary focus is growth. So we want them to be very close to these departments. So these two departments talk to each other a lot. So these two departments, they talk to each other very often. So that's why we kind of put them within the same structure. And then obviously we have the creative team. So you can think of premium A+ content, main images, secondary images, video assets. They're all going through here. SEO, so a title, bullet points, alt text, somewhat. I'll get into that a little bit later. And then obviously the PPC. And I put them in this like basically together because they're very much related. The PPC is reliant on the SEO and reliant on the creative. They have to be aligned. If we're promoting a certain keyword that's not in the creative and that's not in the SEO, we're going to get a click, we're not going to get a conversion. So you want to make sure those are very aligned for each and every single listing, and they work very, very closely together. And then obviously within this, we have like a creative manager, and then the creative, this is like getting more detail. Again, I'm not going to get into too much of this, but then the creative manager, for example, they have someone that's focused on videos and someone that's focused on pictures. And then, for example, the SEO, someone's focused on titles, someone's focused on bullet points. Then you're getting really specialized and you're getting someone that's very, very in-depth. PPC, same thing. Someone's for branded campaigns, someone's for non-branded, whenever is relevant or whatever. But that's the point, is that the more you drill down, the more specialized you get. But again, each person here is headcounts, cost. That's where you have to get into. Another common misconception is we see so many brands, they're hiring generalists. And I'm going to get into this. This is just one department. You think the generalist is going to know as much as a creative specialist, SEO specialist, PPC specialist. They're going to know a little bit of each. They're going to cost so much money in ads. And that's what we've seen. You lose so much money because you're not optimizing appropriately. But again, I don't want to deviate too much. The next section, and this one is very important. Again, now we're getting into ones that are kind of the support functions, right? This is basically revenue driving, right? And then we have, these ones are more support functions. So we have supply chain, right? So supply chain, what's their main jobs? So I want to kind of notate their main functions. So in stock, forecasting, if recovery. So I'll get into this a little bit. Let me actually redo it. So go back. All right. So supply chain, what do we have? So the shipments team. And I'll just keep this simple for now. And then we have, besides the shipments team, we have the warehouse. So I won't go into too much detail here, but this is where they're ranging for various logistics, freight, AGL, AWD. They're making sure that the cost per pound or cost per cubic foot is optimized for. We're always shipping things in the fastest way possible, but also the cheapest way possible. So we're trying to fill up container loads, trying to fill up trucks, and then we can even get more detailed than here. But just to give you an idea, we have approximately 25 people within this department. They're making shipments. They're ensuring that shipments arrive on time. They're making sure that, let's say there's a cross shipment from China or Europe, how can we deal with the logistics there? All that kind of stuff. So that's a very important subset within that. Now let's get into another department that's here, and this one is crucial, and we have compliant. Again, this is our structure. This is what's worked good for us. Something might work differently for you. But after 10 years of building and doing all this stuff, this is how we found it best to service our partners and to get that, basically the growth rate that we want, the 44.2% average year-over-year growth rate. We found this structure working best for us. This is what got us the best returns while also keeping things healthy. So next, we have compliance. And then within compliance, we have CSM, which is customer service management. So this is Amazon's one of its rules that you have to reply to messages within 24 hours. We have a couple people here. If anyone asks about a warranty, anyone has a complaint, we obviously don't want a negative product feedback for our partner brand. So we want to try getting ahead of that and making sure customers are happy through this. Obviously, there's rules. You can't solicit. I made a video about product ratings and stuff like that. You can watch it over here. And then customer service management. And then we also have catalog. And then we have account health. And then we have certifications. So just imagine just the compliance. We have these departments and each one has a couple people in it. So we talked about catalog. Catalog is looking at alt text, making sure all the attributes are there, the size is filled in, all the kind of stuff. So it's very somewhat actually close related to SEO. They kind of work together to make sure the IDQ, item data quality, it's something that we get from SaaS. Again, I made a video about SaaS if you want to check that out. But it's making sure that the IDQ is high. So the listing is healthy. It has all the attributes. It has the alt text. Most importantly, you're not de-indexing, because this is why I say like this is such an underrated function. Is imagine if you're doing all this work, but you're de-indexing. You're not even showing on the rankings. And everything else is irrelevant. It doesn't matter how good your marketing is. You're not showing up organic ranking and you're losing tons of money. So that's the catalog team. They're making sure that the variations are together. The variations look neat. Instead of, for example, a drop down, you have selections. There's so much nuance within this. So that's the catalog team. That's what they're doing. Certifications. So this team, for example, let's say for kids item, there's CPC tests that we have to fill in. Child product certificates, I think. Amazon requires them. There's other FDA requirements or that kind of stuff that we're filling in. They're getting the certificates. And also on a positive side, there's climate pledge friendly. Let's say the product is eligible for that. This team is fighting to make sure we get that badge. So they're filling in all the certificates, the paperwork required to get that. And then we have the account health team. So the account health team, what they're doing is basically making sure that the Amazon account is good. If we're getting any trademark violations, we're responding to all that kind of stuff. Any bogus claims that people say that this is infringement, that they black hat techniques, they're up 24/7, making sure the account is healthy, the brands are healthy. We're not getting black hat attacks and fighting against them as much as we can. So now that I went over these three departments, marketing, supply chain, compliance, we go down here, we have finance, right? So this is obviously a crucial department where this department over here, it's making sure. So we have purchasing, right? And I'll tell you what they do. And then we have recovery. This is huge with Amazon. Recovery slash reimbursements. And then we obviously have accounting within this. So purchasing, their job is to make sure that we stay in stock. We have days on hand, storage optimization. For example, Q4. They're looking at right now, we're in August. We're looking at Q4. Are we enough stock, too much or too little? Too much. Q4, stock prices are tripled with Amazon. So they're looking at that. How can we optimize for that? How can we grow that? All that kind of stuff. How can they make sure that we're optimizing to have enough stock and space? Not too much, not too little. This team, for example, our partner brands, the brands that work with us, that we partner up with, we're maintaining 98.7% in stock rate. We're not going out of stock. Like this for me, I remember when I mentioned earlier in the video, there's a department more important. This department right here, it's more crucial than anything else. If we're not in stock, we're losing money. Not only does everything else not matter, as a matter of fact, we're losing money. That's why we work so hard to maintain that 98.7% in stock rate and making sure that we're forecasting appropriately. They're working with the marketing team if they're running any promotions, Prime Day, etc., working with them to facilitate that. And the brand manager, like I said earlier, they're kind of overseeing all of this. They're pushing, so they're making requests via our project management tools and all that kind of stuff for additional things. Like if they see that a certificate is relevant from over here, right? They're going to tell, listen, I want you to try for the climate pledge certificate because I think that will increase sales. Obviously it will. So let's try to push for it. And let's open a case, see what happens there. And sorry, we actually have another department here. I'll add pricing as well, and I'll get to that. So that's what the purchasing team is doing. Recovery reimbursements, this is unbelievably crucial from Amazon. We estimate that approximately you should be getting, this is based on our experience, 2 to 2.5% back from Amazon sales. So if your brand is doing 10 million, let's say a year, what's 2.5% of that? I think it's around 250 grand, 200 grand. So 250 grand, you should be getting that back from Amazon. That's products Amazon is losing, claims that returning. I'll probably make a separate video on this. Make sure to like and subscribe. This is unbelievably underrated. This is products that customers are doing switcheroos. They're buying it, they're returning something else. Products Amazon's losing inbound. Product that gets misplaced in transition. The recovery team is fighting tooth and nail to make sure that every penny is returned. And now with the cost basis instead of the price basis, they're fighting to get the right cost for it rather than Amazon trying to undercut and give us a lower cost. Then we have accounting. So they're running the unit economics. They're consistently making sure that we're getting the right profit from the items. We're making sure that our partners are getting the right share of everything. So making sure that Amazon is not underpaying us or overpaying us, or if there's any SKUs that are not profitable or variation, they're alerting the other teams, like, what can we do about this, all that kind of stuff. And then we have the finance team, which is basically overseeing, the last department, which is pricing. So they're looking at the prices of our products, making sure that if they're suggesting promotions, overstock inventory, what can we do with that? Can we raise prices? Anything flagged for being underpriced? We're overlooking that kind of stuff. So that's the various, obviously, departments. I'm not going to get into other ones that obviously you have HR, you have all that kind of stuff depending on how big things are, or a small legal team with it, which is sometimes falling under compliance. If anything, you have to do arbitration with Amazon. We've had to do that before, so we have some stuff there. They won't give us recovery, reimbursements, or any of that kind of stuff. Not specifically, obviously, the arbitration with Amazon part, but like basically arbitration or anything specifically. That's a quick overview of some of the departments. But one important note, obviously, is that there's other marketplace team, and this is kind of like a sub team, mostly live under supply chain because they're managing the logistics to make sure stuff are listed under other departments. But I also check in with them closely because we have a big initiative to expand our other marketplaces: Walmart, Target Plus, Amazon Canada, Amazon Europe. We're trying to grow our sales beyond just Amazon.com for our partner brands and for our for basically anything we manage in our portfolio. That's something we're very heavily focused. Also, one important thing under compliance is, I didn't mention this, but obviously there's brand protection. And who's doing this? Mostly it's account health. If there's map infringement, understanding where they got it from. They cooperate with the supply chain. Where did this person buy this product from? How are there other sellers? How can we ensure we maintain buy box? All that kind of stuff is another very important function. So all in all, you can kind of understand how complex things can get and why a generalist, there's no way a generalist can do this well good. Yeah, if you maybe have $100,000 brand, $200,000 brand on Amazon, yeah, they can cover these at a very high level. But once you're getting to that million, 2 million, 3 million, 8 million, $15 million range, you need specialists to optimize each and every single function because there's just so much nuance. Just as an example, SEO. Now you have to accommodate for Cosmos and Rufus. They're changing their entire basically program or way that they do things to incorporate intent-based keywords, noun phrase optimization. Another example is compliance. Walmart brand portal. That's not new, but it's not as familiar with brands. So how can you get familiar with that? What can you do about it? Other marketplaces, the EU, VAT. You think a generalist is going to be able to apply for all that's obviously impossible to be able to overcome all that. I've been here a decade. These guys, they run labs around me in their specific domains. Like the catalog person the other day, they were telling me how you can, there's a limit, I think, of 16 variations where you choose between different options on the PDP product detail is to drop down. Like, there's no way I would have known that myself, but they're just eating and consuming that information. They live in that world all day long, which is why I talked about a matrix, because they're so deep into it where we're getting into the latest stuff. If this video is helpful, make sure to watch actually how we saved $800,000 in supply chain costs. This is where our supply chain team, they stepped up big. Sorry, right here. Our supply chain team stepped up big last year, and they did these 10 crucial changes. I think you'll benefit a lot. If you're brand doing over $1 million a year, come check us out at Voadera.com. Schedule a free call. Let us talk to you. If you're not, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications so that you can get there one day and perhaps we can partner up. And leave any questions in the comments and I'll make sure to answer to all of them.